So, Redemption 10.0, we ran in it and finished third in True Street. The Redemption races, I really dig them. We went to 4, I think is the first one we went to. And we saw Stefan, or I believe it was Stefan and the Animal, win True Street. Saw a bunch of awesome street cars there. In that class, True Street's 3,000 pounds. You got to do a 35 mile cruise. Single turbo, no twin turbo, big block stuff. Basically, nearly a street car, something that your average person like me could get into. And I saw that, and I kind of wanted to do that. At the time, I had a Fairmont with a 5.3 and a turbo, and the best it could do was a 650. It didn't have any kind of roll cage or anything. So after Redemption 4 and seeing that, I wanted a car that would run at that level and have a good roll cage and some safety. And so that's really when we come around to getting this 240 and building it up to run in that type class. So we followed the Redemption along since 4, and then she started doing Redemption on the road this year in 2017, and this was 10, so 7. I guess she did 7 here at Ennis, and then 8 was in Baton Rouge. 9 we'll have a makeup, and then 10. I had the car ready pretty close there at the beginning of the year, but stuff kept coming up and getting in the way. I couldn't make the 7 or 8 race, and then 9 was canceled, and finally made 10. And I had a blast. Probably the most favorite racing experience I ever have. It was awesome. Lots of badass cars that are like what I like, what I'm interested in. Fast street car type stuff that street race or can at least be drove on the street pretty well. So that's kind of the background of Redemption 10, where we went to race. Getting ready for Redemption 10, we tested in Denton a bunch, in Yellow Belly, making it hit hard on crappy tracks. What was really cool was Cedar Creek was open the whole week leading up to Redemption, and you'll see some passes from Cedar Creek. I believe I've got a couple of those of tests on a super slick surface, way slicker than what they had at Ennis at Redemption 10.0. And then just making hard, fast passes up at Denton, trying to get the big end boosts working well. Friday was the Redemption race, and the Thursday I was testing traction control, just doing some rolls into boost on a 1565 just to see what traction control. There was some parameters in there that I had tweaked a little bit, made it a little more aggressive, and I wanted to see how fast it could grab me. Right now I only have a 2-tooth collar on the drive shaft, and I think that's causing the resolution to be pretty low and causing the traction control not to grab quite as fast. So my buddy Brooks, y'all can check him out at DIY_garage_TX on Instagram, and I think YouTube too. And he's laser cut out some toothed wheels that I'm going to try and finagle one onto my drive shaft yoke there and see if I can get a little bit of resolution. Anyhow, the traction control was working pretty good. Went up the road and I came back, and when I clicked in the high gear it started smoking. I pulled over, I didn't see any kind of drips or anything, so I tried it again, went into high gear, started smoking. I pulled over a little ways, probably like 2 miles away from the house, and nothing was smoking. Then I came back again and put it in first and clicked it in high, and it wouldn't go into high at that point. It was just like it was stuck in first the whole time. So I limped it back home in first. I called TransPro, talked to Kelly. Kelly's like, if you want to race, you better get it up here. So got it up there, and they worked on it, pulled the transmission out, rebuilt it, got everything all set up. Next morning, Tech-In was at 10. I was at TransPro at 9, picking up the car. Went up and down the road once or twice there. Made sure everything was working, and everything was working good. I was on the road at 10. Got down there, got teched in and everything. then we went on our cruise. This time around, I went to the Doomsday race, and I had run it on 87 octane, and then we have a dump valve in the tank to dump the 87 octane out and put methanol in, and that worked out real well. One thing I forgot to do was I have a shut-off valve so that it doesn't make a loop there and go back into the tank, and I forgot to open it, so first pass, I ran out of fuel about half track, well, probably after about 100 feet. And so this time I wanted to try and make it 40 miles, because the cruise is 35 miles, and Shannon said it wouldn't be any more than 35. So I wanted to go on a 40-mile cruise on 10 gallons of methanol. And so I did that Wednesday, went to Tawakoni and back, and had still 3.5 inches of fuel in the bottom after 40.7 something miles. I clocked it on my GPS on my phone, and that worked out real well. And so we used that for the cruise. It started raining on the cruise on Friday. It was cold and it rained, and we probably only went 5 or 10 miles up the road and back. So I had plenty of fuel. It was no big deal. So we finished the cruise. It was no problem. I can't remember if we teched before cruise or after, but I pulled up to tech, and there's a bad Lexus there. I didn't check the motor or anything, but it had a parachute, bad radials, and it had a exhaust exiting straight out of the hood. And we've been back around and around on the exhaust, because I used to have an exhaust that didn't turn back like this, and the rule for True Street is the exhaust has to exit behind the firewall. That's all it says. It doesn't say if it has to go under or over the hood. You know, it doesn't really say anything about that. It's kind of a gray area. So to make the exhaust go under here is huge, big deal. Like, you got to cut through the frame rail or do something. And this is just a lot easier to go right here and curve back and go behind the firewall. It exits behind the firewall, no problem. And I'd asked about that, and Shannon said as long as it exits behind the firewall, I showed her the picture and everything, and she said I'd be good to go. So I knew it exited behind the firewall. I mean, I made it specifically to do that. So I get there, and I'm looking at the Lexus, and I talked to the dude for a minute, and they reject his car for True Street, and because his exhaust exits out of the hood, it didn't go behind the firewall. And he turns to me and he says, "You better go get you a different tech card, because you ain't running in True Street with that exhaust." And I thought, all right. So anyhow, we went up there anyways, knowing the rules, and we made it through. So I don't know, maybe next redemption we'll see the Lexus there with a turn back exhaust. That'd be cool. So it rained. They had to squeegee the track. We waited around for quite a while for the track and everything to dry out. It was really cold. The track temps were cold, so we knew that the first round was going to be pretty slick, and it was. So I think that's about it for the background and stuff. Go to the next video. It'll be first round. You'll get to see me make the first round pass, and then we'll discuss what went wrong after that, and I'll show you the log, and we'll talk about it then.